Workers affiliated to the PSA, the Public Servants Association, embarking on a nationwide shutdown. It's going to disrupt, I'm sure, services at Home Affairs, SASSA and the Department of Labour. Let's find out why this is all happening. I'm joined by the union's Claude Nyker, making time for me this morning. Claude, good to have you on eNCA. Appreciate the time. We'll get into the effect it's going to have on Home Affairs, on SASSA and the Department of Labour in just a moment. Just bring me up to speed. Why are we seeing this action taking place? Good morning.
Very good morning to you, Gareth. Thank you for having me. Yes, we have been engaging with SETA for now a couple of months, in fact, almost 7 months with regard to salary negotiations. Unfortunately, we have reached an impasse. Our demand at the moment is around 7.5%, whereas the employer started off with a 0% salary increase. We've declared a dispute and slowly they've upped their offer from 0% to 3.5%. They've then went to 4.5%, and now they're sitting at 5%. So, as I said, our members have embarked on strike action from last week. There is a total shutdown at all the SETA offices. And as you quite rightly pointed out, this is going to affect quite a number of departments. The department has met on a number of occasions with us. Unfortunately, they haven't come close to what we've been asking for. Our initial demand was 12%, but we've lowered that ever since to 7.5%. It must be pointed out over the past few years, we've been negotiating and receiving below inflation-linked salary increases from SETA, and we felt that at this stage, members have become very frustrated, and we've demanded an inflation, not a real wage increase, mind you, an inflation-linked salary increase around 7.5%. SETA this morning has indicated they're not prepared to budge on the 5%. Obviously, we will be taking back to our members. Most of them are currently on the street at the moment. Major part of SETA workers are also working remotely, so they won't be on their laptops this morning and for the foreseeable future until such time SETA comes back to us with a more tangible or close enough offer to the 7.5% demand that we make.
We're going to talk timelines in just a moment, Claude. Give me a sense, though, just for those watching at the moment, how is this going to affect the Department of Labour, SASSA and Home Affairs? Just help us understand who don't know what the impact is going to be. What does that mean in real-world terms from today?
Well, SETA is the agency that provides IT and communication services for various departments. That includes SASSA, where your social grants are paid, Home Affairs, where you apply for ID and the various documentation. Also, they provide a major service to SAPS as well, and various other government departments on a smaller scale. But these are the major departments that we are talking about. So if SETA is not providing these services, most definitely, if you've seen yesterday at Home Affairs, services were affected already. And at SASSA as well, fortunately, it's not payment for grants, but applications will be affected at this stage because, as I indicate, SETA provides the information technology structure services to these departments itself. So if we find that the strike does continue, as the days progress, you'll find more and more of these service departments are going to be affected, especially most of these departments rely on their emails and their IT infrastructure to obviously get their work done on a daily basis. And if SETA is not providing these services, they're definitely going to be affected. We have a lot of sympathy for the public, especially people that are at Home Affairs and SASSA, but unfortunately, this was unavoidable as SETA has not come to the party. They've left it until the last minute to actually negotiate with us. We've actually placed our demands very early in the year so that we can negotiate and come to a tangible sort of settlement. Unfortunately, this has not happened, and the only avenue left for us as a last resort was to obviously embark on a industrial action.
Help me understand, Claude, as well, because there are going to be critics who are going to say that considering the current economic climate, even though you are, as you rightly say, demanding an inflation increase, it could be seen as reasonable. Some will say that the organisations don't have the money to pay increases. Many other sectors' salaries haven't been increased. What do you tell those critics who say you're now holding the country essentially hostage when it comes to these departments?
You can go on an entire day talking about this, and you'll notice that CETA is not one of those departments that has not been averred to a lot of maladministration and a certain corruption and activities at certain stages where a lot of money has been squandered as well. So this is not new to just CETA, but to all those government departments that we've been negotiating, and even parastatals itself. Nobody talks about the money that is squandered, and if that was dealt with properly, I'm sure you'll have enough money to actually grant employees a decent salary increase. You'll notice a lot of analysts come and we talk a lot of issues as to how we can implement austerity measures, cost-saving measures. Nobody talks about the time when this money is squandered and how much of money is squandered when this could have been put to good use itself. Like I pointed out, for the last couple of years, we've been actually accepting a below inflation, well below inflation rate salary-linked increases itself. And it's only on this year that we've actually not even asked for a real wage increase, but we've asked something very close to inflation. So I think it's about time we see the light and say to ourselves, listen, are we being fair to the employees that provide a very critical service to most of these service departments? It's not something that we lightly took into consideration before resorting to industrial action. It was well thought over, and our employees, because of the frustration, has given us the mandate to obviously embark on this industrial action as such.
Let me ask you this before I say goodbye to you as well, Claude. I also make sure that everyone understands what we're talking about. This is a total shutdown, are the reports I'm seeing. This is not a lunchtime picket. It's a total shutdown. No one's working at all throughout the day, just so people can try and plan their lives around these departments.
Absolutely. We started off with the picketing process during lunchtimes. We've already served the required notice to the department itself. So we are definitely embarking on a full nationwide shutdown. In other words, CETA services would not take place until such time the employer comes to the table with a tangible offer.
Perhaps I'll leave this as my very last question. It just occurred to me now, Claude. If CETA doesn't eventually come to the table and you end up in a situation of what is basically a Mexican standoff, where do you escalate this to? If not CETA, who in your world is the next organization or minister to go to?
Generally, we will obviously deal with the Minister of Communication, deal with the Minister of Treasury as well, to see if they can intervene and that we can break this impasse. We've already engaged on those processes to try and get the various ministers to come to the party to try and intervene. We hopefully, after the standoff that we have now, that is going into the second week, that they will realize that there is a problem and hopefully intervene so that we can break this impasse. But from our side, as the PSA, members have given us a firm mandate that they will continue with the industrial action, and we will assess our situation come Friday, whether to continue next week and the week after itself.
And I'm sure this is going to be a story that we're going to be following very, very closely, going to have very serious impacts on a number of departments. But for the moment, Claude eNCA, thank you very much giving us the perspective and view from the PSA, Public Servants Association. So just a quick reminder as well, if you're planning to go to Home Affairs, the Labour Department and any SASSA offices, you could very realistically expect some delays.